Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. I'm going to say something shocking. It's going to shock you to your core. It's going to challenge your entire worldview on everything. It was an insurrection. A brutal, violent insurrection in Washington, D.C. An attack on the Capitol. Okay, now let me clarify. I'm not talking about January 6th. No, of course not. I'm talking about this.
A group of people carrying anarchy flags pushed over trash cans and destroyed storefront windows as they swarmed through the streets. Police fought back with pepper spray and tear gas.
Or this.
What you're looking is the aftermath of the grand jury deciding not to indict Officer Wilson.
Or this.
He said he wanted to, police can do better. Police can do better. I'm here for change. We've heard the chants of no justice, no peace. Another large object just thrown there at CNN.
Or this.
Large crowds gathered just across the street from the White House overnight. They set fires like this one. Officials say more than 60 Secret Service agents were injured during the protests in the past few days. Overnight, the city's mayor put a curfew in place through 6 o'clock in the morning.
And now, this.
And take a look at this. Tense moments at the White House overnight. Pro-Palestinian protesters broke through a temporary gate, and riot police were trying to stop the crowd. And Washington, D.C.'s police chief says things were thrown at cops. Now, this comes just hours after strikes were launched against the Houthis in Yemen. Now, there's no reports of any injuries right now.
Doesn't it fit the left's definition of what an insurrection is? A political protest in Washington, D.C. that gets violent and targets the Capitol? I mean, based on their definition, every frickin' protest that gets even a little out of hand is an insurrection. And whoever's a political leader who is even remotely attached to the topic of protest is automatically guilty of insurrection and should face multiple federal indictments, right? Well, I guess Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the rest of the squad members are all guilty of insurrection. It's their definition, folks. You can sense the sarcasm of this intro. Let's get into this ridiculous leftist hypocrisy, shall we? We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so here's a headline that creates a little bit of a flashback memory for me. Remember that time where the White House was under siege and former President Donald Trump was forced to escape to the bunker?
And new details reveal President Trump was briefly taken to the underground bunker below the White House on Friday night, according to an official in the White House. He was there for only about an hour as the White House went on lockdown while protesters rallied nearby. Now, we haven't been told if the First Lady or their teen son, Barron, were also taken to that bunker.
They called Trump a coward. They called him Bunker Boy. They taunted him. Well, now take a look at this headline. White House staff, quote, relocated after pro-Palestinian rioters damage anti-scale fencing and hurl objects at cops. The White House did not sustain damage, the Secret Service said. Okay, I see. So when Donald Trump is evacuated or relocated to the bunker, he becomes Bunker Donnie. He's labeled a coward who runs away from American protest. He's labeled a coward. But when the same thing happens with the Biden White House staff was just simply relocated. And we don't see the same type of headlines. It's a continued double standard, just like the insurrection double standard. I mean, look at the scenes. Unfortunately, I can't show you too much in a lot of these videos. Well, I can probably show you this video. If there's a little bit too much body movement, the YouTube algorithm flags the video instantly, and so I can't upload it. When one group of people show up during a protest and it gets rowdy, when they burn buildings, throw Molotov cocktails at police officers, block highways, assault random people, it's an important protest. In fact, Kamala Harris just went on the record comparing the Ferguson riots to Gettysburg. And yeah, that's a real thing.
Generation after generation, on the fields of Gettysburg, in the schools of Little Rock, on the grounds of this State House, on the streets of Ferguson, and on the floor of the Tennessee House of Representatives, we the people have always fought to make the promise of freedom real.
This, by the way, coming from the same woman who claimed that January 6th was worse than Pearl Harbor.
Not only a place on our calendars, but a place in our collective memory. December 7th, 1941. September 11th, 2001. And January 6th, 2021.
The double standard is clear. It's only an insurrection when it's a right-wing protest. So leftists can go on and promote this ridiculous narrative that the right is violent and racist. They have literally one example. There's one example of a protest that supposedly was so horrifying and violent. Mostly, the video evidence that suggests that is totally cherry-picked and omits very important factors like, I don't know, Capitol police officers shooting people with rubber bullets in the frickin' face. Yeah, definitely going to get pushback from the crowd. The implication that it was a violent insurrection is completely ridiculous, especially when we see the footage of people on the inside.
We just saw people going right through. There they are.
And our
in Statuary Hall. Now that is the area.
Is that the Walt Whitman camera that's capturing those? I believe.
No.
Whitman statue.
I'm not sure whether that's the Walt Whitman camera, but what that is the area where the senators process to go into House for joint sessions. So it is through there that they walk.
Unbelievable.
Every time they go into the office.
We are televising the breach.
Listen,
by the way.
In order to get to the Capitol, I mean, the Capitol is a free place to go. You are allowed to go to the Capitol. But you got to go through metal detectors. You got to go through security. And when you breach that, you haven't gone through security. And you got to imagine that is making a lot of the Capitol Police and other folks inside the Capitol.
Norm Macdonald had the best tweet of all time. May his soul rest in peace. He tweeted this on January 6, 2021. I loved when the violent terrorists made sure to respect the velvet ropes in Statuary Hall. This is an insurrection, but all the violence that we see from the left is a justified fight against oppression. Give me a break. Double standards everywhere, and probably one of the most glaring double standards that I noticed is the response. Don't you find it just a little bit interesting how whenever leftist activist groups are preparing a protest, or, well, let's call it what it really is, in Washington, D.C., the city goes full military lockdown mode? This pro-Palestinian protest that happened at the White House was relatively small if we're comparing the crowd size to January 6th, for instance, but look at the giant wall that they erected. I don't seem to remember a heavy-duty wall being placed to barricade the Capitol on January 6th, even though all the intelligence was suggesting that it was going to be a massive protest with likely agitators in the crowd. I mean, we were warning about that kind of thing for a while ahead of January 6th, not necessarily in relation to that protest, but just in general, these sort of false flag events, attempting to paint Trump supporters as a violent racist mob. Kind of like the whole Glenn Youngkin supposed neo-Nazi scandal that turned out to be a complete leftist psyop. They had all the warnings. They knew what was happening. But what do they do to control the crowd? They put those flimsy little concert barriers, or I don't even know what to call them. You know what I'm talking about. You see them at fairs. Huge protest at the Capitol, but help from the National Guard was rejected, and they used these flimsy little barriers. Small leftist protests at the White House erect a giant heavy-duty wall. The double standard is clear. It's obvious what's going on. What it boils down to is the left is full of crap, especially on this issue. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.